We are seeing a broken man falling apart more and more acutely every single day. Donald Trump's presidency is now in its death throes, and Donald Trump himself has been increasingly unhinged, retweeting garbage right-wing media clips to his Twitter while being missing in action as president of the United States for months now. And over the weekend, he unleashed a tweet storm so unhinged, so outrageous that it's hard to imagine what he's going to do when the day finally comes that he is no longer president of the United States. This is really bad for the country, truly bad. And it's not just humiliating for Trump. It's humiliating for the country globally. They are crying for us, yes, because of the COVID mishandling and the unnecessary death and suffering. They are scared for us, yes, because we have such anti-democratic forces coming out of the woodwork in the Republican Party. But they're also laughing at us because we have a president, technically anyway, for a few more days, who can't stop tweeting trash after trash that almost no world leader would ever be caught dead tweeting. Trump again ranting about so-called dead voters who don't exist. Tweeting, why haven't they done signature verification in Fulton County, Georgia? Why haven't they deducted all of the dead people who voted, illegals who voted, non-Georgia residents who voted, and tens of thousands of others who voted illegally from the final vote tally? These are all lies. Just a small portion of these votes give us a big and conclusive win in Georgia. Have they illegally destroyed ballots in Fulton County? After many weeks, we don't yet even have a judge to hear this large-scale voter fraud case. The only judge seems to be Stacey's sister, referring to Stacey Abrams. Trump insisting he won in a landslide, saying about a Ted Cruz tweet that this is, quote, an attempt to steal a landslide win. Can't let it happen. Trump attacking Georgia Republican officials who are now the enemy because they won't overtly steal the election. Remember, for all the praise of Brad Raffensperger and these other Georgia Republicans who are unwilling to do what Trump wants, they were very willing to try to steal the election via voter suppression. In fact, Georgia was sort of one of the central places of purging voter rolls and shutting down polling places. Like Georgia Republicans are very willing to do some terrible stuff. They just weren't willing to do it this way after the fact. And Trump is now attacking them, saying, quote, Republicans in Georgia must be careful of the political corruption in Fulton County, which is rampant. The governor, Brian Kemp, and his puppet Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan have done less than nothing. They are a disgrace to the great people of Georgia. And Donald Trump just continuing to tweet lies about Georgia, saying, quote, Georgia election data just revealed shows that over 17,000 votes illegally flipped from Trump to Biden. This alone, there are many other irregularities, is enough to easily swing Georgia to Trump, quoting OAN. None of that is true. There's no evidence for any of that. No court has found any of these arguments meritorious or with evidence. Trump then interrupting the election tweets to attack Dr. Anthony Fauci, saying, quote, somehow Dr. Fauci is revered by the lamestream media as such a great professional, having done, they say, such an incredible job. Yet he works for me and the Trump administration, and I am in no way given any credit for my work. Gee, could this just be more fake news? Of course, Trump, the theme is Trump continuing to be triggered by Dr. Fauci being more respected and trusted than Trump. And when Trump says, Fauci works for me, I should get the credit. Well, you've been advocating for the opposite of Fauci in many cases and attacking him publicly for months now. That's why you're not getting the accolades for being the person who allows Fauci to remain in your employ. And then Trump continuing to spread more lies about the virus, which have deadly consequences, saying, quote, the number of cases and deaths of the China virus is far exaggerated in the United States because of the CDC's ridiculous method of determination compared to other countries, many of whom report purposely, very inaccurately and low. When in doubt, call it COVID. Fake news. Now, that one is not only untrue. If anything, the number is understated. There's a new CDC report that says, OK, We have the official number, which is around 350,000 dead from COVID, already a tragedy. But we suspect that the real number is more like 500,000 for reasons we've already discussed. So when Trump says the real death toll is lower, he implies it's less dangerous than it is, which encourages people to disregard guidelines which save lives. And then Donald Trump retweeting a tweet from lawyer Sidney Powell, who he supposedly doesn't have anything to do with, saying, quote, "This election was stolen from the voters in a massive fraud that you and others are now complicit in. American elections are supposed to be completely auditable and transparent. We, the people, demand the truth and the prosecutions of all who committed voter fraud." And then Trump lastly tweeting that he will be there at a historic day on Wednesday, a march to stop the steal and not to certify the 2020 election. I won't keep going. This is just a sampling. This is not a well person, but he will be gone soon. The more important issue is that this is really bad for the country, and its negative effects are going to persist beyond January 20th. And we're going to have significantly more coverage about that coming up later this week, but also in later months. I want to take a second to tell you about one of our sponsors, S&H Masks. S&H Masks has everything you need when it comes to face masks and other protective gear for COVID-19, and they're giving my audience 20% off. S&H Masks is the company that I've personally been going to for face masks. I love and trust the products they sell, and that's actually why I reached out to them about being a sponsor. I've tried tons of different face masks this year, like many of you, and I still have not found a mask that is more comfortable or easier to breathe in than the washable cotton masks that they sell. It's made of a silky, lightweight cloth that feels great on the skin, has a convenient adjustable strap. They also have disposable cloth masks, which are really comfortable, as well as all of the other gear like face shields, alcohol wipes, no-touch infrared thermometers. And all of their prices are very reasonable. I also love S&H Masks because they've donated over 60,000 masks to healthcare institutions. They're an excellent company. Shipping is just $5 and shipping is free on orders over $150. You can get there by going to davidpakman.com/mask. The link is under this video, and you can save 20% on everything in their store when you use the coupon code DAVID.